Dr. Tom Jackson was hired as the Vice President for Student Affairs in the winter of 2006-2007. I believe he started in January of 2007. One of the first changes that he wanted to make in terms of the division was to establish a Dean of Students office. I knew Dr. Jackson through professional associations, through NASPA, and most closely with our work in the New Professionals Institute. And he informed me that he wanted actually to advertise to fill the position of Dean of Students and Associate Vice President, which was the same position that I held at Radford University. Being an alum of the university and having ties to the university, I was excited, one, that Dr. Jackson was being hired as the Vice President, because I knew that he would come in and do a really good job of moving the division forward and working towards making positive changes for students. So that excited me. Of course, it was additionally exciting that he was going to create this position, and that I knew that I would be interested in that position. So he did. He created the Dean of Students position and the Dean of Students office, because the university had not really had a Dean of Students office. When I was a student in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have a Dean of Students, and all during that time period. I believe in the past, in talking to others who've been at the university for longer periods, there were Dean of Men, Dean of Women. I think Hilda Threckeld, which Threckeld Hall is named after, was a Dean of Women at one point in time. And the name Morton Walker, he was a dean, and I think maybe Dean of Men, or had some type of a similar position. But when the Vice Presidency and Student Affairs position was created, the Dean of Students position was really turned to be a Assistant Vice President, Associate Vice President, Assistant Vice President for Student Life or Student Affairs. So there were a number of people who held those positions: Denise Gifford, Fred Rhodes, Bridget Pregliasco. They all held kind of a similar position. Harold Adams was in that assistant VP type of a role, and not really the Dean of Students, but there were similar functions that those positions were performing that would have been functions that a Dean of Students would have performed. So it was exciting when Tom asked me to come and join him here at the University of Louisville. I was really excited about the charge at that time, and in meeting with the provost and the president, they really wanted to create this vibrant campus life. And the university's history in terms of it being a commuter institution and the type of institution was really changing, because the state had passed House Bill 1 that the university was going to be a premier metropolitan research university, and that included having this vibrant campus life and improving graduation rates and improving retention rates and the quality of programs and the quality of the entering students that we were having. So I was really excited about that personally, because I had been an active and involved student at the University of Louisville, and was so thankful for that experience and that opportunities that then led me down this path of getting into student affairs as a profession that I enjoy so much. And I'm thankful for. It was exciting, this idea of creating this vibrant campus life. And actually my experience at Radford prepared me in a unique way, in a special way, because the type of campus Radford was, they really valued students and a student-centric philosophy. And so I had learned a lot from Bonnie Hurlbert, who was the Dean of Students, who I stepped into being the Dean of Students after she retired. And I served as her Associate Dean for about 8 months. And I learned a lot from Bonnie, and I learned a lot from Radford, and was excited about, bringing some of the things that I had learned there and other things, and really trying to create that environment of a vibrant campus life. And so now, as the filming of this is 2014, and over the last 7 years since I've been here. I was hired and started work in July 2007 is when I started as the Dean of Students and Associate Vice President. So if we look at how much the university has changed just in that 7-year window, it's exciting, it's inspiring. when you talk to alums who've been here 20, 30 years ago, and they come back and see the place, they don't hardly recognize it. When you talk to more recent alums, even they come back and say, oh, well, this hadn't happened, and we didn't have the Bill Grill, and all these new residential facilities, and just this past year with the development of the Student Recreation Center. So it's exciting. It's not just about buildings or structure, it's about the people. It's about the improved graduation rates. It's about more students that are involved, record involvement in Greek life, student activities, and our programming events, creating more capacity for students to create their own leadership opportunities through club programming committee, the Engaged Lead Serve board, the work that SGA has continued to do, record involvement in student organizations. So that's exciting. It's exciting to be a part of that. And that was really a focal point for what Dr. Jackson was asking me to do in coming in as the Dean of Students. The other point really with the Dean of Students office, and I think part of his vision for why he wanted to have a Dean of Students office in our discussion, is that that's the place where students go. If you don't know where to go on campus, then you come to the Dean of Students office, and that has been an intentional part of our messaging, part of our mission, that we're here as a resource to serve and support and help students to be successful here at the University of Louisville. So we actually worked together in our initial group that was in the Dean of Students office. It was people that had kind of come from student life, so there had been student life, so there were elements of those duties that were being fulfilled, whether it's student conduct or student care or creating this vibrant campus life that were being fulfilled in the student life area. But so some of the staff that were in student life also came into the Dean of Students office. Then we just sat down. It was exciting. We said, okay, what should our mission be? We had strategic planning meetings and discussions about what's the right mission for a Dean of Students office. And so it's neat to see that mission really come alive, and that we do. We get people all the time, students, faculty, staff, who are referring students to the Dean of Students office because they're going through some type of a crisis, they're having some type of a concern or problem, they need some type of help, and we're able to provide that. And people on campus know that we're going to do that and try and help them. It may not be that we're always going to be able to answer their question or always advocate for them. It may be helping them learn how to advocate for themselves or providing them the appropriate resources, but they know at the heart of what we do in the Dean of Students office is help the students. And so that's really part of that messaging that we wanted to get out to the campus. And it's not just messaging in that this is our mission or our branding, our tagline. Students, through word of mouth and other faculty, through faculty and staff, they know that to be true. So I think that's why we get so many different referrals. We've been able to help a lot of people. A growing element within the Dean of Students office, and a big part of our organizational responsibilities, has become this transition into having behavioral intervention teams. Ours is a student care team. Some places they call it threat assessment teams. But that has been something that also was asked in 2007 when I arrived. It was on the shortly after the tragedy at Virginia Tech occurred. And of course, I was very close to that because I was at Radford when that occurred, and it's only about 10 minutes from Virginia Tech, and our communities are connected in a close ways. A lot of faculty and staff, they might have a spouse that works at one institution. We had a lot of colleagues that we knew at both institutions. So that tragedy was fresh, and the University of Louisville wanted to make sure that we were responding to that appropriately, implementing best practices, reasonable professional standards. And so we've done a lot of work in that area. We've worked and partnered with faculty to conduct research and to publish and present in that area, and I'm thankful for the collaborative approach that we've developed, and that we have a team approach, that the institution has supported that and has given the student care team the resources and has given them the authority really to be able to act on behalf of the university, to bring together the information that may be going on in a student crisis or a student who's in distress, and try and make an informed decision about what's best for the university, what's best for the student. And we've helped a lot of students. I remind the student care team, one of our end of the year meetings every year, I remind them, we don't know what student's life we may have saved. We don't know that, because the change of a trajectory of getting a student who's suicidal or a student who's depressed or in crisis mode and getting them into the right resources, letting them know that people care about them, it can change their whole path for their whole life and have this ripple effect on future generations that person touches. So it's really rewarding, it's meaningful work, and I'm thankful the team approach that we have here with the student care team, and that we've been able to be successful. And that has created, the need to hire a student care manager, which we hired about 1.5 years ago, and Jerry Morgan's done a great job as being the first student care manager, and has helped to professionalize our process and operation, bringing that social work perspective. So I think there's a lot of traditions that we continue to support at the university. The tradition of having a strong student government association and having them be an active part of our campus and helping them to be informed so that they can inform us. When well-informed students make excellent decisions and recommendations. So I'm thankful that we've had outstanding student government leaders who have helped to see what would be best for the university, and to make to have bold visions, and to support some of the university changes that have occurred. Said students are behind this because we know that this is what's best for the university. So I think that's a tradition that we need to continue, and has been part of the campus and will continue to be part. What we try to do in the Dean of Students office to make sure that students are valued and that we're informing them and they're helping to inform the work that we do. In the first year that I was here as a Dean of Students, I would get a number of student groups that would come in and want to meet with me, and I was like, oh, this is cool. They want to come and meet with me and just interact. And I found out that many of them at the end of that, wanting to meet with me and tell me about their organization, would ask me for funding. They said, well, can you give us money? And what had happened in the past is there were pockets of money that administrators had, and they would give out money to certain student organizations. And I really reflected on that and thought, there's probably a better way. And in talking with some of our student organizations, I was realizing they felt like they didn't have the funding or the support that we need. So I talked with the student government president, who was Brian Hoffman. I talked with the Association of Black Students president, Rosie Washington, and talked both with Rosie and Brian, because they both represent kind of different constituencies and both had some programming money that they had been involved with. And we talked about this idea of creating a fund where we could funnel a lot of different sources of money into this one fund and have students actually determine what would be the best use of that programming money. And that goes back to that vibrant campus life. We want to create this vibrant campus life. Well, let's put money in the hands of our student organizations who've already chosen to associate something around something that they're passionate about, something that they identify with, putting money in their hands so that they can better promote their organization or have events around what's important to them. So we created the club programming committee, and that would have been in the spring of 2008. And it was a pilot. Let's see how this works for one time. It was extremely successful. I think we allocated about $20,000 that year. SGA saw the benefit of that, saw that it allowed for a consistent mechanism to award this funding, that students have to pre-plan and be organized and make their requests, but they'll know that they're going to have this funding so they can plan for their events appropriately, as opposed to it being a last-minute thing. And so more and more funds were identified. Provost's office, vice president, dean of the students office, housing. SGA has been the biggest contributor by far, so they put a lot of resources into the club programming committee, and hundreds of thousands of dollars now have been put into the hands of student organizations. Some as small as $40 just to have, pizza and events. Others, much larger amounts in the thousands of dollars, maybe to host a concert or bring some speaker in to campus. So all that has helped to create a vibrancy of campus events and activities that are going on. It's helped to support our student organizations so they know that there are resources available. They have to plan. They have to put together a good proposal. They have to have a budget. It goes before their peers. The peers decide what do we think will be the best programs. What do we think will be successful? What are students going to want to attend? Also taking into account, hey, let's make sure that we represent the diversity of our students. So maybe not a lot of students will attend this, but this is something for a special population that isn't able to program or isn't able to have events as often. So identifying that, allowing for opportunities of collaboration amongst organizations, and also celebrating traditions. So what are traditional events, and how can we put funding in the hands of students to kind of celebrate what those traditional events are. So it's exciting that CPC has worked out this way. I don't get students coming asking for funding now in the same way they did that first year, because they know that there's this avenue, and it's allowed for students to be the ones that are driving a lot of that vibrancy on campus. When I was hired, our team that was brought in from Student Life, Dr. Jackson hired me, and then Beverly Wolford, Michelle Clemens, and was part of our team. Robin Sutherland was the unit business manager, and we actually had a vacant line where we were going to be able to hire administrative assistants. So that was kind of our core team when we first started in 2007, and we were able to quickly come together, work together. Fortunately, I knew Michelle really well from when I was a student here and when I had worked here previously, and also Bev, and so we already had a trust. And so I think we've been able to maintain that environment of trust in our office and have that, in a collaborative approach. So we work together when there's issues or concerns. We talk about it and discuss what do we think collectively would be best. As we've gone along in the years, we've been able to add some wonderful people to the Dean of Students office. Charisma Stigall, she's been a great addition and is a diehard Cardinal fan and brings a lot of joy to our office and a great perspective. So we've been happy to have Charisma as part of our DOS team. And Laura Almer has been here as a student affairs professional, and she's worked in a variety of different areas of programming and really helped a great deal as we started to grow our student care team. We needed somebody to help with the day in and day out. We were getting more referrals, and Laura did a great job of that, along with the many conduct responsibilities that she has taken on as she's been pursuing her PhD. And so we've been thankful to have Laura. It was wonderful to be able to hire Jerry Morgan as our student care manager. And when Jerry was hired, we were seeing so many cases, more and more cases, and her background and experience in social work is exactly what we've needed. And she was a perfect fit because she also understood the University of Louisville institutional culture. So she's helped professionalize our student care process, our continuity of care, our commitment to care with students, looking at the social work research and literature, and looking at resiliency and how do students that are in distress or crisis, how do they evaluate their resiliency and help put them on a path to be able to overcome the challenges that they're currently facing. And then our most recent hire, which this is going into the summer of 2014, so it was a little bit over a year ago that Dr. Angela Taylor joined us as the Assistant Dean of Students. Michelle Clemens was able to retire, and we celebrated her retirement and all the great contributions she made to the university. And are thankful that we had such an outstanding professional to be able to take her place as the Assistant Dean of Students. And Angela's done a wonderful job in her first year of coming in and really working hard and looking through challenging issues and policy issues and helping to alleviate some things that that were occupying some of my time. And she's done a great job with making some changes to our conduct process and system and how we're implementing Title IX sexual misconduct policies. And so we're thankful to have Angela here as part of our team.